Many people are eager to know and to finally confirm the rumors that are going on out there, right?
Yes, definitely. So hi, Sabine. Welcome to the channel. I'm super excited to have you today. We have some really good updates for the new digital nomad visa that I think are going to be really helpful for everyone. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Christina. It is a pleasure to be here now, and let's get to it because I'm sure many people are eager to know and to finally confirm the rumors that are going on out there, right?
Yes, definitely. So let's jump right in. What are some of the new updates for the digital nomad visa?
So the biggest shift has been that finally W-2 employees can apply for the digital nomad visa. Before, it was impossible. Right now, we are in the process of it, and many families have been the first proof of this big change.
That's definitely a huge change. I know I've had the visa for 2.5 years now, and I know that's that whole period everyone's been asking, like, can I come on W-2? I want to come, I want to move. I have so many friends who've been waiting for this time. So this is definitely a huge new announcement of the visa and will allow so many more Americans to be able to make this move and make your dream life happen in Spain. So let's kind of go over some brief stuff. So what are the income requirements? Just to remind people, if you apply as a single person with a dependent or a spouse and children.
Of course, yes. Well, if you apply alone, your minimum salary needs to be 2,763 euros. Okay. If you come along with your partner, then roughly 3,800. And then if you're coming with the whole family, children included, then each children needs to add up at 345 euros. So this means for a family of three, and I will round it up a bit as well, just so we are not in the minimum. But for a family of three, you would roughly need 4,200 euros. And for a family of four, that would be 4,500 euros.
So it's definitely, I think, doable for a lot of US employees for sure to come over here. So now with the income requirements, what are the conditions that someone has to qualify for a W-2? Because I know some people can be our employees of their own companies in that kind of situation. Are there certain circumstances that are more acceptable or getting approvals for this W-2 version of the digital nomad visa?
Okay. Well, in this case, I have to say this W-2 structure is mainly made for people who are actually employees for companies. Okay. So there is a minimum. If you are a part owner of the company, it needs to be less than 25%. Whenever it goes higher than this, we can consider going the other way. Okay. But not W-2, because right now the UGE is very strict on these matters. They really look into it. They look that everything is legit, that the situation is a W-2 employee for a company.
Yes. That's definitely something specific to consider because there is a difference in what you'll be paying for taxes and Social Security if you are a W-2 of an actual company versus if you are a W-2 of your own majority shareholder company and you'll end up being autonomo. Which, if you want to learn more about that, I have other videos that I will tag down below for you guys to watch, just more on that situation. But we're sticking more today to actual full employees for companies that you are not a majority owner of. So with the W-2, you need to apply for a certificate of coverage, so you don't have to pay for Social Security in Spain. So how can you apply for that? And do you have a time frame that people should expect or should plan for when trying to get that coverage?
Yes. Well, the certificate of coverage, as you mentioned, is the main difference between if we apply as a self-employed or with an employee status. And this certificate is needed to be submitted by your employer. Okay. So this can be done in the webpage of Social Security in the United States. The certificate of coverage itself is quite simple. You can obtain it submitting the form. However, this certificate needs to be apostilled. And that is the thing that can take time. And I have to say, on a positive note, we have obtained some certificate of coverages like in a time of frame of few weeks, but then the apostille takes time. So roughly we can expect from 3 to 4 months to have it done. But in the meantime, we can work on all the rest of the documents. So it's not that we need to do first this and then we can initiate the process. We can do it all in parallel.
Yes. So I think that's a major point with this visa, regardless of even just this certificate. Anything in general is you need to plan in advance because a lot of the paperwork you need takes time to get. So you can't just be like, I want to apply in a month. I'm going to get my paperwork, move to Spain. It doesn't really work that way. Make sure you're planning in advance. So with the certificate coverage, what information needs to be included? Because I know there was a lot of confusion earlier on about needing a Spanish address, and kind of those details. So are there certain things that need to be included for the approval or certain changes that have?
Well, the biggest change is the address that you mentioned, because, and this confusion was that it was expected that that specific employer needs to have a presence in Spain, which right now has confirmed that that is not entirely true. So this address can be client's Spanish address, okay? And the form itself requires a data of the employer, like the personal data, name, surname, the ID, address, and so on, and the information of the employer, and that is about it. But this specific address that we mentioned, that was the biggest confusion, and now it is sorted out.
So that's definitely the major change that I know a lot of people were talking about was the address part. So very good update. So then with their certificate of coverage, how long are they valid for? Because obviously that length of time will give you the length of your approval visa. So how long are they valid for? And can you then renew them to extend your visa?
As long as we know, right now it is a maximum of 5 years. So you can initially submit it for this maximum of time, and you do not need to keep renewing or anything right now during the visa. We are not sure if that is expected to be changed, but currently you can issue it for the maximum period of time, and we will see if this is changed in future.
Yes, there are definitely changes that happen to this visa, which is why we continually doing these videos just to keep you guys updated and informed. So definitely make sure you are keeping up to date with changes. The videos that we put out are up to date for you guys. So one thing that I think a lot of people really ask about is the Beckham Law, because this is a major decision point for people if they're going to move abroad or not. And I know it's a very complex situation. So could you give some insight into the Beckham Law and what people should expect in terms of whether they can qualify or not, or who qualifies, or the complexity of it all?
Yes, this is a very complex situation and question. As while we are not currently tax experts, we as a company are growing. We are expecting to have a tax expert in our team very, very soon. And we can do another video updating this. But I would not want to go into this. I would definitely advise to contact a tax accountant and specialist before applying for a visa, in order to avoid any possible surprises after your visa is approved, because definitely Beckham Law is made for employees, but not everyone is eligible for this. Okay, so this is something to look into it separately before applying for the visa.
Yeah, this is definitely super important because it's not a blanket, thing where everyone can just get Beckham Law. I know that a lot of people think that they can, and I've heard stories where they apply and they get approved and they find out that they don't. And if you don't get Beckham, the tax obligations are much different. So it is something to definitely consider and definitely think about before you make the move, because you need to make sure financially it makes the most sense for you and you have no surprises along the way. So, off that question, what are the differences that people can expect from being freelance versus W 2 with this visa?
Okay. Well, while you are W-2, this certificate of coverage that we discussed is the thing that proves Spanish government that you are still paying your social security taxes in US. So this means all the benefits from social security remains in your home country. And that means you will need to have a private health insurance during your stay for you and your whole family in Spain. However, one if you are a self-employed or a freelancer, this means you are going to pay taxes, and you are going to sign a letter that puts yourself in a compromise of that after the visa is approved. And that means you will have all the benefits in Spain from Social Security. So this is the biggest difference, is that you need an obligated health insurance, while on self-employed you do not need to have one.
Yes, it's definitely something important to note. And also on top of that, I do want to note something that once you apply for the visa, you have and get your approval, you have 6 months to really get the Beckham Law sorted out. And you can't retroactively do the Beckham Law. So you can't come here, get your approval, and be like, I'll figure it out and we'll get it all sorted, because you only have a short window of time. And appointments aren't always the quickest in Spain, I will say that. So you have to make sure when you're coming here, you know the exact situation that you're in and you're set up the best way possible. So that way you're able to get the Beckham Law if it's something that you're going after as an employee. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of that time window that you have, because you cannot retroactively go back. And if your paperwork is not filed correctly, the Spanish government will flag it and you will have issues moving forward, which I have had with friends who thought that they had the Beckham Law, were here for over a year. And then when the time for yearly taxes came around, the government came and knocked on their door pretty much, not obviously physically, but reached out to them and said they were missing some paperwork and they were retroactively taxed because they actually didn't have Beckham Law. So it is something that you want to make sure is airtight once you are here and you have all the correct paperwork, because you do not want to be in that situation where you are owing thousands, if not tens of thousands of taxes that you were not expecting and did not prepare for. So definitely make sure you have all of your ducks in a row when it comes to the Beckham Law. So with a certificate of coverage, what happens if it is rejected? Would the applicant then need to pay into Spain Social Security, or how does that work?
Well, I have to say that initially we would need to see what is the reason. Let's say there's simple mistake in the form and we can simply submit. But if there's a serious reason why it's not approved, unfortunately, the person would need to change the status to self employed or 1099 contractor and apply with under this employment structure.
Yes. So make sure that everything's good, but you can always obviously fix things if needed and go back. But again, working with a reputable company that's helping you do all of this is going to make your life so much easier and less stressful. Now, one of the other requirements for applying for the visa is that the company that you're working for has to be open for at least 1 year. How strict is that rule, and how strict is the rule for working for them for at least 3 months?
This is mandatory. So there's no way around it. We will need to wait till the company is at least a year and a day old. That's for sure. And the same goes for the contract. But fortunately, as the contract is only required to be 3 months old, this is relatively a very small amount of time. So we can prepare rest of the paperwork during that time. So don't worry if you need to wait. This time flies and we can keep working on the visa. Meanwhile, the contract is 3 months old.
Yes. And I did have one final question for you in terms of timeline for people. I know a lot of people want to pick up and just move to Spain and apply once they get here, which you absolutely can do and is the best option for you. But one thing that I definitely think is important to note is how prepared you are before you move, how much paperwork you have before you move. So could you give some insight into what people should really prepare for and what they should have coming to Spain before making that big move where you sell your house, sell your things, and rent a year-long place here? What should they really prepare for and have before they make that move?
Okay, well, I would say that once you have the idea and you are considering applying for a digital nomad visa, first of all, first step would be to have a conversation with the tax accountants to know your options. And then once you have that, you know which route you need to take. You can contact us, for example, and this should be at least 6 months before the actual moving date, because documents have expiration dates. So starting way too early is counterproductive. That would mean you would need to redo everything again, which can be costly timing and also on your money. So definitely at least 6 months before, so we can review all your situation, what is the status, what we need, and then we can start gathering the documents, reviewing everything in detail. And once that is done, the best approach is to come to Spain afterwards. Most of the documents are ready, and once we are ready, you can submit the visa and be calm that everything is done properly, because even the slightest mistake can cost us a lot of time and obviously money, but time is the most important thing here.
Yes. And I've seen too many people on TikTok or social media talk about how they made the move to Spain prior to having everything in a row and having to move back to the US or having to wait another 6 months or a year to apply because of situations that had happened. So make sure that is not you. Don't be one of those people. Make sure you reach out to everyone, have a call with your tax accountant, have a call with Sabine or Marina or anyone on their team to make sure you're actually getting everything in line and ready to go. So one last question, actually, one more to add to it. But have you guys had any positive, approvals for people who are W-2? Because I think that there's a lot of speculation out there that you can do it, but then people aren't sure. So have you guys actually gotten approvals for it?
Yes, and we are so happy to admit this. We have helped several families right now, and many of that we still have in process that are about to apply, but definitely this is 100% working. Obviously, I want to say that we would not have submitted an application without knowing that it will work. So definitely, if you are doubting or you are not sure, you can contact us. We can review everything in detail before starting to make sure that it will work and become finally coming to Spain.
Well, thank you so much, Sabine, for coming on. This has been super helpful. I know everyone's probably so excited to hear that the rumors are true, that you can come to Spain now on the digital nomad visa as a W-2 employee for all my Americans. So if you have any questions on the visa, I will link down all the videos below that I've done this past year for more information for that for you guys, as well as some tax videos that I have done. So all of that will be up for you guys. But thanks, Sabine, for coming on.
Thank you, Christina. It has been a pleasure, all mine. And if anyone has questions, just feel free to go on our website. You can contact us without any compromise or cost, and we will answer all of your questions.
Well, my W-2 workers, this is the news that you've been waiting for literally over 2 years now, which is crazy. You can finally come and experience and enjoy and have the life in Spain that you've been probably dreaming of for a while now. I hope this video was helpful, and if you guys want to reach out to the Bureaucracy team, Marina, who you've seen on previous videos, Sabine today, they're all amazing. And honestly, I've got such great feedback from everyone who's gotten their visas approved through them, but I put the link down below to book a free call with them. And you get a 10% discount if you use that link, so definitely go check that out. And also, one of the best parts of working with the team is the fact they actually have an online portal, which makes it really easy for you guys. Especially me, I need to know what is happening with everything. So on the portal, you can actually see what documents you need, what is missing, and you see the progress of your application as it gets processed, as it gets approved, everything. So you are not in the dark at all, which I think is definitely a major plus, because I know how stressful the move can be and just wanting to know how things are going, when it's happening, all those information. So you have a nice little portal that's really pretty you guys can use. So I just think that it makes it such an easier process. So definitely book a call with them and see if you can make this your reality. And if you're curious more on life in Barcelona, then definitely check out my recent video I did, which I'll put up here, just giving you some truths as to what I've experienced over the past 2.5 years of living in Barcelona. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have and you want to become a part of this community, which means so much to me, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't miss out on any future videos. Lots more upcoming on taxes, on moving to Spain, life in Spain, Barcelona vlogs. I have a lot coming for you guys and I'm really excited. So I'll catch you next one. Bye.